Thank you, General Daly, and all of you for attending tonight, coming out in the rain. It's very special. Also, the Women's Research and Education Institute, along with the Alliance for National Defense, who are having their annual conference on women in the military this week. And to the President of the Naval Historical Foundation, Vice Admiral Dunn, for attending. And my family for driving all the way from Tennessee. Well, I also like to add my thanks to General Electric for hosting this event, and to the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum and her superbly professional staff, because this museum is a true national treasure. It continues to educate and encourage all Americans to look to the skies and beyond. So, this year we celebrate the 100th anniversary of naval aviation, which is a story of epic proportions, full of innovators, heroes, mavericks, insiders, outsiders, and a host of other characters, all united by their love of flying. What sets it apart from the rest of military aviation is the fact that naval aviators fly from ships at sea. This year also marks an important milestone, the 20th anniversary of the repeal of the laws that prohibited Navy and Air Force women from flying in combat. However, Congress did not just wake up one morning and decide it was time to let the women fly fighters. The history of how these two anniversaries overlap is the subject of my remarks tonight, the fight to fly at sea. In 1973, the Navy was the first service to open their pilot training to women, followed by the Army 6 months later, and then the Coast Guard. The Air Force opened flight training to its women 1976, and the Marine Corps not until 1994. But you can talk about that next year. I had the great fortune to be one of the women selected for that first group. And also with us tonight from the first group is the Navy's first female helicopter pilot, female aviator number 4, Captain Joellen Drag Oslin, United States Navy Reserve, retired. Thanks, Joe. So on to the new. On first glance, as you look at this slide, you might not realize the different worlds these images represent. The small one is of me as a Lieutenant JG, taken in 1976, probably before Megan was born, at NAS Cecil Field. The other, taken last year, is of Lieutenant Megan Flanagan beside an F-18 Hornet, which she now flies in the fleet. Flight gear hasn't changed much in 34 years. The F-18 replaced the A-7 some 20 years ago. The difference is in what you don't see. Megan is an experienced Navy fighter pilot. I, at this point in time, was not allowed aboard a ship unless on leave in civilian clothes accompanied by a male officer. Heaven forbid land aboard. The quest for the full integration of women in naval aviation parallels the quest for the full integration of the airplane into the Navy. Naval history is full of conflicts between reformers and the old guard, replete with internal bureaucratic struggles and external battles featuring coalitions of young naval officer activists, supportive admirals, members of Congress, of the administration, and prominent civilians. The story of women in naval air starts with America's entry into World War I. Secretary of the Navy, Josephus Daniels, observed that Naval Reserve Law did not say that a yeoman had to be a man. As a result, almost 12,000 women were enlisted as Yeoman F, signing the same exact reserve contract as their male counterparts for the duration of the war plus 6 months. Many of these women served in the Bureau of Aeronautics, including supporting the first transatlantic flight in 1919. And yes, that was before Charles Lindbergh. And you see in this picture part of the crew at Naval Air Station Pensacola that supported this flight. And you can observe the Yeoman F uniforms. Well, despite the real prospect of war in the late 1930s, many senior naval aviators were adamantly opposed to including women in mobilization planning. Although the Navy Nurse Corps had a permanent place with the Navy, the old guard drew the line there. The brilliant exception was naval aviation, which pushed hard for the creation of a woman's naval reserve in 1942, which became known as the Waves. During World War II, enlisted women in naval aviation entered non-traditional fields such as control tower operators, mechanics, plane captains, gunnery instructors, and link instructors. 80 Wave officers were designated air navigators. Navy nurses served as flight nurses. By war's end, over 25,000 Waves had served in naval aviation alone. The other World War II flyers critical to our story tonight were the women